actually literally impacting the way you physically look on like a cellular level. Hey you guys, welcome to my channel. If you are new, go ahead and hit the subscribe button on whichever side of the screen that I have it on, as well as the bell, so that anytime any new content is uploaded, you are going to be the first to know about it, you guys. But I wanted to make this video really quickly to actually inform you, if you didn't know, that your vibrational frequency, whether you're vibing high or vibing low, is affecting you actually like your physical state. And I don't just mean like the normal stress hormones and things like that. I mean, it's actually literally impacting the way you physically look on like a cellular level. A lot of times when we think about manifestation, words of affirmation, we think of it as kind of being like this woo-woo topic that's just purely intuitive, no type of like scientific backing behind the mystery, magic of it all. It's fair to say, right? Most of us know that the human body is composed mostly of water, right? Somewhere around 60 to 70%. Now, I actually heard a higher percentage, but for the sake of this video, we're going to go with 60 to 70%. There have been experiments performed over water, several different experiments that I'm sure you guys could look up, performed over water were different words, right? Positive words, negative words. And the water was examined before and after. And after examination, the molecular structure of the water molecules actually changed. And they also did the same experiment with music as well. Now, from what we do know, right, pretty much everything is energetic vibration, right? Whether we're talking about sound, whether we're talking about light frequency, atoms, right, movement, everything has a vibrational frequency. Now, words, right, whether they're positive or negative, right, we get off into like the words of affirmation, they actually do have an effect. So if we are composed about 60 to 70% of water, the scientists already did the experiment, right, that's speaking certain words over just, bodies of water. I'm guessing like maybe, I don't know if they had like cups or bowls or what, I don't know. If it's changing the molecular structure of those water molecules just by the frequency of those positive or negative vibrational waves, sound waves, right? What do you think it does, right, when we are saying negative things, listening to music that might have like, maybe a lower vibe with the actual lyrics? All of it has an effect on us, you guys. They also examined that, even like tears of joy has a different, not only a different chemical compound, but also has a different molecular structure from tears of sadness. Okay, so like I say, for all of us that think like, oh, it's no big deal if you're vibing high or vibing low, it doesn't really affect you like that. Words of affirmation don't really have an effect. Music we listen to, things that we say doesn't really matter. It actually does. It impacts you. Really, what is high vibes, right? High vibrational frequencies would be considered like love frequency, compassion, joy, excitement, peace, presence. Okay, those would be considered positive vibrational frequencies. Negative, low vibes would be considered like stress, anger, anxiety, hate. Those would be obviously lower vibrational energies. So say manifestation, we're doing it 24 hours, 7 days a week, whether you believe in it or you don't believe in it, whether you're consciously trying to manifest something specifically or not. It's just what we are doing nonstop on autopilot. Okay, and if you really do want to like raise those vibrations, right, because essentially also going off into the law of attraction, wherever you're vibrating at, okay, wherever your vibe is at, you just like a tuning fork, you are going to attract others that vibrate, other experiences, other people, other things that vibrate on the level that you're vibrating at. So if you are vibing low, okay, obviously you're going to attract more low vibrational people, situations into your experience, into your bubble, versus if you're vibing higher. Now, I don't mean toxic positivity, right, where you're just positive 100% of the time, even when you don't believe it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying more so as conscious as you're able to be, right? And I talk about more of like being able to do the self-audit, where you really are, as much as you possibly can, filtering what it is that you are, that inner speech, that inner talk, what it is that you're saying to yourself, right? A lot of us, we're not even conscious, but we're doing it quite a bit, right? If you have a quiet moment, unless you're really like in a meditative mode where you're able to kind of silence it a bit, we have inner talk, inner speech nonstop. It's really about you being able to monitor what is the frequency of that inner speech. How are you speaking to yourself? Is it filled with doubt and lack, or do you have a more of abundant mindset? Are you speaking to yourself in a more positive manner? Also, so you do want to be conscious of what it is that you're exuding. Are you exuding more of like the low vibrational frequencies? That's what I mean, right? Not necessarily toxic positivity where you don't even believe it and you're just pretending to be positive, right? So these are just a few little tips that I think you guys can incorporate in your day-to-day just to kind of keep those vibes high. And, well, before we get into the tips real quick, you guys, also for those that are like, there are some people that are just considered with the glow up, right? Their physical appearance, maybe appearing more attractive, whatever. If that is the case, you could almost think of it as like something that benefits you. If I'm not saying there aren't, ugly, attractive people, right? Ugly on the inside, carries, ugly traits, but are attractive people. I'm not saying that, but genuinely, like, you are being impacted on a cellular level by the frequencies, right? The inner speech has an effect on your cells, okay, on your body. You're 60-70% water. So if you are saying a lot of negative, toxic stuff about yourself, about other people, engaging in a lot of low vibrational activities and things like that, it is going to affect, right? Maybe you'll age faster. Maybe you will just, you just won't have that magnetic aura because you are in such a low vibrational state. So if you're just going to do it for the glow up, I say do it for the glow up. If that's where your focus is at, wanting to look better, like I said, we all have different goals when it comes to manifestation. Some of us want to, whether it's weight loss goals or career goals or creative projects, romantic relationships, traveling, whatever that is, a lot of our goals are going to look very different. But like I say, you are going to ultimately attract where it is that you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are, meaning where you're vibing at. If you're vibing at a higher frequency, which makes it easier for that manifestation to come on in, whatever that manifestation may be. But if you're vibing at a lower vibe, right, whatever the like attracts like, okay? So if you're vibing at a certain level, that's what you're going to bring on in. So be conscious of that, you guys. But I wanted to just provide you guys with a few tips that you can hopefully use from your day-to-day. Just to try to keep those vibes up, and I know it's easier said than done, but do want to protect your mental environment as much as possible. And what do I mean by your mental environment? I mean by your physical environment obviously can affect your mental, but if you are in let's just say you're somewhere you really don't want to be, as much as you're able to, get out, get some air, get out into nature if you possibly can. Remove yourself from that environment as much as you can. Only be in that environment a limited amount of time. Everybody has different situations. You may be somewhere that you don't want to be. That is very low vibey, that, makes you feel a certain way. Try to get out as much as you possibly can. Enjoy the fresh air. Go for a walk. Get out into nature if you can. And just try to keep your vibes up as much as possible. Also, your mental environment, that also includes what are you taking in, right? Watching things, whether it's TV shows, movies that keep you in a low vibrational state. Is a lot of like drama and chaos, and because ultimately, you are what you consume, or you will eventually become what you consume. Are you watching a lot of, like, let's just say reality shows filled with nothing but chaos, drama, arguing, fighting, things like that? What are you watching? What are you consuming? What are you listening to? And music is great, right? We have a lot of different artists, songs that we love, but sometimes, like I say, when you really listen to the lyrics, it might not be anything that you ultimately would want to manifest into your state of being, right? And I've talked about this on other videos. Music is nothing more than mantras with melody, right? Especially if it has a repeating chorus, okay? So you really want to be conscious of the music that you're listening to. That also is dealing with you protecting your mental environment. Next up, number 2, you also want to practice gratitude. And I know that a lot of times, you may have a long laundry list of things that you feel are going wrong in your life that might legitimately be going, left in your life. But if you can find 1 or 2 things that you are appreciative of, right? Like I say, law of attraction, that little bit of gratitude, you bring more of that into your bubble. The universe doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you are. So if you are grateful for certain things, you're going to attract more things into your bubble to be grateful for, right? And like I say, the universe is nothing more than like an algorithm that's continuously spitting out, is pushing out what it is that you put your focus. So if your focus is on gratitude and appreciation because you feel so full with just you're so happy about having certain things, then you're going to get more of that into your bubble. So that's going to create more of a positive, higher vibes for you and higher vibrational experiences as well. So as much as you're able to, practice gratitude. I'm not saying we don't have things to complain about. I'm not saying we don't have a long laundry list of things that might be going wrong. But if you could find 1 to 2 things to actually speak out loud, speak words of affirmation of, I'm so appreciative, I'm so thankful for this. Thank you so much for that. Try to do that. And even if you want, you could also practice gratitude for things that you want to bring into your experience, right? Even if you haven't experienced it yet, give thanks for it, and it will, you attract it. This one is a huge one, and this is one that cannot necessarily be done overnight, but if you could in some way, shape or form, in little small ways, work on it, try to heal any kind of emotional trauma that you have, right? Just work on it. It might take an entire lifetime plus a lifetime that you haven't even experienced yet to move through it. But in small ways, try to chip away at some of that emotional trauma that you have, because that is bottled up, right? It's bottled up. Our cells are experiencing that creates that stress, that anxiety, depression, all of those lower vibrational feelings, which puts you at a lower vibe, which of course, obviously, like I say, manifestation, you attract not necessarily what you want, but what you are, where you're vibing at. Like attracts like. So you're feeling stuck in these lower vibrational feelings because you do have certain emotional, trauma that you're trying to move through. Try to work on that as much as you can, whether you are journaling to get it out, whether you are, want to speak to professionally, or if not professionally, just talk to your angels, talk to your spirit guides, talk to your spiritual team. Like I say, a lot of it, we look like we're alone. This is my own personal belief, but I believe we have an entire fleet of ancestors, spirit guides, spiritual team, angels, and God, the Most High, to speak to. So if you can't speak to someone, pay someone to talk to professionally, just talk to your spirit team, get it out. But try to work on some of that emotional trauma, because it does affect your vibrational frequency, because it keeps you in lower vibes, which keeps you where you're in a loop of experiencing more of those low vibrational experiences, keeps you in that unhappy state. So try to get that out, whether it's journaling or otherwise, okay? We have a free minute, and a lot of times, like, our days are very hectic, or we have a lot of other things that may stress us out or worry us, but as much as you can, if you want to set a timer on your clock on your phone, and just take a minute to meditate and to be mindful of your breath. Try to breathe a little bit, and that will also help to lower and reduce your stress, those lower vibrational, feelings of stress and anxiety. Try to meditate, clear your mind as much as you can, or listen to, maybe set a timer. Maybe you want to do it for 5 minutes, then maybe stretch it out to 10, maybe 15 minutes. Try to do it in the morning. Maybe set your intentions for the day with a peaceful mind, one with gratitude, or do it before bedtime. But try to practice, incorporate meditation, which is just, clearing your mind, being grateful, speaking those positive words of affirmation, maybe, but just try to clear your mind and focus in on your breath, your breathing, and reduce some of that stress and anxiety. Okay? Well, anyway, you guys, I hope that this video was helpful, useful, and informative, right? If you know anyone that, may need to hear it, if it might be helpful to them, definitely do share the video, you guys. Like I say, we are all on this journey together, even though our manifestations or, our journeys may look different. the journey itself, we're still, all of us are moving through. So again, we're growing out here, you guys. Leave lots of comments down below. Like I always say, a comment that you leave, divine timing, it might be very helpful, useful to the next person that comes along, reads it. Leave comments. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.